Hi, I'm here with Dan Velez. He is the athletic director for the New York Institute of Technology, and he started an eSports program, and he's going to walk us through the intersection of technology, business, and eSports. Hi, Dan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Larry. Pleasure to be here.
So, walk me through the genesis of the eSports program and how it got started.
Yeah, it's a very organic process. We started our Cybears from our gaming club. We had a bunch of kids here on campus, that the students that were playing video games already, and they wanted a more competitive and more structured place to do that. They approached us. They found a willing partner in our athletic director at the time. So we said to them, hey, we need certain things from you to see if this is something viable, something feasible for us to do. We were keeping an eye on what was happening in the gaming world already, because it was, talking 4 years ago, so not that long ago. And they did. They met every step. They took every step along the way. They filled out all the information. They came back to us with budgets and schedules and roster makeups. And one of the neat things about that was they gave us a parts list for their initial machines, which are still around today, and they're still being used. And they built those from scratch. And it was really neat to watch them take that passion and that love for gaming, and really put forth that effort to make sure that they did something that was going to be sustainable and successful for them.
So, walk me through some of the metrics for success. I mean, obviously there's wins and losses, but what are some of the other benefits, analytics to look at when it comes to esports?
Yeah, they are. Wins and losses are important. They are just as competitive as a baseball player, basketball player, lacrosse player. There's no doubt about that. They don't take losing very lightly. So they do want to win. But you start to look at participation numbers. There's numbers out there that, over 70% of students are interested or associate as a gamer, and they're playing some kind of video game, whether it's, Madden or FIFA or Overwatch or League of Legends or whatever it may be. Those numbers are really high. It's $1 billion industry. You have to pay attention to that. There's job opportunities here. There's internship opportunities here. We're very fortunate here in the New York area that the Mets and the Wilpons, they have two professional esports teams. So there's a marketplace for it. The wins and losses, I'm lucky. We've gone two routes. We've gone the tournament route. We've also gone and partnered with our traditional NCAA conference, the East Coast Conference, and have launched, a very traditional, in a sense, competition between the member schools. So we do Overwatch in the fall. We do League of Legends in the spring. The Cybers have gotten to play in both championships, but unfortunately have only come away with the League of Legends championship. But we're heading in the right direction. I think the other piece of it too on a college campus is, from an enrollment standpoint and a retention standpoint, we're always looking for ways to attract students, attract high quality students, as well as keep those students here. And I think at the high school level, you're looking at ways to engage with your students. And I think that you're starting to see more and more at that grassroots level where kids are getting involved in something where previously, that stereotype, that stigma out there that gamers are loners or playing by themselves. This is giving an avenue to be able to make friends, and there's a social component. I was told the story once too that even at the adult level, there was a gentleman who had come back from serving in the armed forces, and we hear the challenges that our veterans go through, and he found a community online of gamers with the similar experiences, and he's been able to navigate some of those challenges because now he's got a network that he found through the gaming community. So it's, yeah, the wins and losses, like I said, are important, but there's all these other really neat areas that are coming out of the growth of gaming.
And you have a hardware partner in Dell, but what are some of the other partnerships that you use either internally in the university or outside, or things that you may need in the future?
Yeah, we've been fortunate with the Dell partnership. The machines, the Alienware machines are fantastic. We joke around, myself and our head coach, because our engineering students and our architecture students want to use them for their school projects just because they're such high performing machines. But we've been blessed. We've got a medical school here on campus. We've got a Center for Sports Medicine, which handles all of our research and well-being of our traditional student athletes. Well, when I approached them about esports, they jumped right in because they realized there was little research. So they launched the Center for Esports Medicine, and there's doctors over there, there's clinical therapists, there's occupational therapists. They're looking at those repetitive use injuries, which is really what these athletes suffer from. They're sedentary, so they sit for a while. They're constantly, looking at a screen. So how does the chair need to be designed? How does the tabletop need to be designed? How does the keyboard need to be designed? How can we train them to be at their best? We know how to do that with a lacrosse player or a basketball player or soccer player, but how do we do it with these athletes? So that's been a wonderful partnership with us. We're blessed here in New York, as I said, to have two professional teams, from what the Mets have done, and the Wilpon family has done. And we're looking for some of those opportunities and some of those partnerships there as well. We've been able to expose our students to, professional level gaming through volunteer opportunities and internships, all with the goal in mind of, listen, go ahead, pursue your dream of being a professional gamer, but if that doesn't work out, let's expose you to the educational side and the business side of all of this, because there's a big business here that's going to need employees, and we want you to be, excuse me, as well trained as possible to go out into that workforce.
How do you think the medical data will blend with, I mean, there's a lot of data being thrown off
Mhm.
from the machine and the consoles themselves in terms of telemetry, in terms of reaction time, those sort of things. How do you see that big, pile of data blending together over time?
I think that, you touched upon like reaction time, for example. That ties into that whole training piece of how do we train these guys and gals to perform at their highest level. We know what drills to do and what medical steps to take with a lacrosse player, to improve agility, to improve reaction time. What we don't know is how is the brain responding to this information that is coming out of the screen and then shooting it through the body to get, the right hand motions taken care of or body motions taken care of, depending on the game you're playing. That's just going to grow. It's just going to get better. You're starting to see at the pro level, they're building out entire sports medicine departments for these athletes to keep them in the tip top shape. One of the things that I've said here on campus is I'd love for the research that our medical folks are doing to then go talk to our engineering students and possibly come up with projects to, hey, let's work on the next generation of displays, because we're realizing that the way the displays are done now, maybe there's some impact to vision, and it's impeding, how well we can see what we're doing and then process that information. The seating, again, let's talk to our design students and talk to them about designing the next generation of the gaming chair. Does it need more padding, less padding, angles, straight up, a vertical, horizontal, whatever it may be, but let's use that scientific, the data that we have in collaboration with the results, the physical results we have, to make it better. Architecture. One of the things we learned when we built out our first room was how important the lighting was, in the space. And you've got to make sure that the folks building the space know, hey, we've got to have the right angles. We can't have too much natural light in here because of glare, because of lag times. We got to make sure that, the room is set up in such a way that when teams are competing against each other, they can't see each other's machines, that, they can't see the broadcast machine, because the broadcast machine gives you an overall view of everything. And so it's all of those little things. We're starting to recognize how much what we do on this campus and how much goes on in the business world really does tie in. I think there's a fear of it at times, when you talk to folks, but it's no different. The industry needs marketing, the industry needs accounting, the industry needs finance folks, they need architects, they need all of those things, they need medical professions. And that's where that synergy starts to occur, because it's a real world. It's nothing that hasn't been done. We just have to tailor it back to this particular industry.
Okay. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of collaboration overall
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been lucky that I have found willing partners here on campus, obviously with our medical school and those folks, but as well as folks in our school of business, and that's where our sports management degree is going to live, and within there, there's a section that is being tailored to the business of esports. Like I said, everybody wants to be a pro. Not everybody gets to get there, but if there's that passion and that love, let's try to teach you the skill set that you need so that when you graduate, you're able to go get that job, whether it's with the Overwatch League or one of the arenas. You touched upon, you're in Philadelphia, they're building a brand new facility. All of these things are going to need employees. There's a massive one in Texas, and people, they're hiring employees. They're trying to hire people that fit into the needs that they have, but not everybody has all of that information and all of that background, that in order for them to be as successful as possible.
How has having an esports program helped you recruit students? I guess what
We
kind of student do you get? Is it more esports as a conversation starter? Does it help you get, people who are into development, or is it engineering? I guess what kind of student is attracted to an esports program?
It's for us, it's been a little bit of everything. We've had students that were on campus that once we launched the Cybears were interested just because they were gamers, no other reason. We've had students that are in design or architecture or in the sciences, that gaming is something they do as a passion or as a hobby, and now they're starting to realize how that passion and that hobby can relate back to the degree that they're pursuing. This year, when I want to say this is kind of this year we're in, this 19-20 years, kind of our first cycle of being able to go out and actively recruit students, and we grabbed 10 new students to New York Tech that have stated that they came because of what we were doing in the gaming world. We want that number to keep growing. Obviously, I do have to worry about that. I'd be lying if I didn't. But we don't single them out, in the sense of, oh, you've got to be this major or that major. We use it a lot of times as a conversation starter and to get you engaged. And then once we get you here, then we start talking about the other avenues that can be pursued.
Okay. Any questions I didn't ask that I should have?
I think the one I always get is why, and my answer to that is why not, really. People always say, why pursue esports, and I always say, why not? And it goes back to, you've got to pay attention to an industry and a business that is selling out professional arenas in a very short amount of time. I remember tickets going on sale for the Overwatch World League Finals at Barclays Center last summer, and they sold out the 2 days of competition in a matter of hours. You have to pay attention to that, whether you are on the industry side, the business side, or on the educational side, like I am. That's where the avenues are for future growth. And as we start to look at what are our young people going to do, as the world changes, this is an avenue, and it's a very real avenue. So I think you have to pay attention to it. More of the question should be, why aren't you doing this, more so that as to why are you doing this.
Well, it's fun to watch. I mean, I kind of get surprised how I get sucked into it, even though my gaming
Yeah,
days are long gone, but I still get sucked into it.
mine are as well. I'll dabble every now and again with the team members, and it's usually a very quick defeat for me. But I enjoy it. I love seeing their passion and how into it they are. And the other thing is, they're always willing to talk about it. Every opportunity that we get that comes across my desk or somebody else's, where they're looking for volunteers. Whether it's a local high school or a local organization that's looking to grow this, there's no shortage of volunteers from that group of wanting to go out and kind of teach others about what they're doing and how to get started and how to launch it. My head coach, I think, has helped launch 4 or 5 collegiate teams, kind of guiding them through what the steps that they need to take, who they need to work with, who they need to talk to. So it's been really neat, and then what the medical school's been doing, and the questions that, the requests that they're getting, and for information there, one of our head researchers over there is doing some stuff with the USOC, or yeah, with the IOC, excuse me, because the Olympic Committee is looking at gaming as a possible Olympic sport. So it's pretty, it's a lot bigger than one ever realizes, even though we know how big it is.
Right. All right. Well, thanks for your time.
Absolutely, Larry. Thank you for having me.